Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So right now it's 2 a.m. and I feel compelled to make a velocity banking video at this hour. I don't know why, but I feel like I gotta make one right before I go to sleep. Because there are some people out there who want to watch it. Maybe you're having a little bit of trouble sleeping. Hey, this video might bore you to death if you can't go to sleep. And it might be what you just need. Or who knows, you might find it just to be really engaging at 2 a.m., right? But I just felt compelled to make it. So if you're up at this time watching Velocity Banking, congratulations. You're learning about financial strategies that most people will not take the time to learn. Okay, so we're just kind of going to go through the same scenarios over and over again with velocity banking. So let's just kind of start with the basics. What is velocity banking? All it is financial strategy where you can pay off debt using lines of credit as a main tool. Okay, or one line of credit. Now, there's only really two things that we need when doing velocity banking. Let me actually take this away. 1 second. First step is that we need a budget, right? So we have a budget right here, $4,000 a month, one credit card, one auto loan, one student loan, and one mortgage. So essentially three loans and one credit card, right? And this depends on your situations. For some people, this actually might be really good. But let's just do a little bit better by helping us pay off our debts, right? So we're pretty much done with that budget. And what's really important when you do expenses and you have an expense breakdown is make sure you list every single debt that you have. Because every debt that you have eats up into your cash flow. And the whole point of the game is to pay off debt to get more cash flow, right? That's the whole point of velocity banking. If you don't have any debt, you don't even need this strategy because the whole point is just to pay off debt, right? So we got the budget. Number two, we need a line of credit, and that's going to be used as our main operating account. Okay, so there's various lines of credits out there. There's credit cards. There's personal lines of credit. There's business lines of credit, which is for a business if you have one, and there's home equity lines of credit, which is just like a personal line of credit, but you're offering your home equity as collateral. Now, let's say in this example that we have a personal line of credit that we happen to get a long time ago, and let me just erase this. Sorry about this. At 15% at a $15,000 limit, right? And that's actually a personal line of credit that I have. Now, let me ask you this if you haven't watched any of the other videos. When is the best time to get credit in general? I'm not giving you actual advice, but just as a generality, this is what I've been taught by other people. When's the best time to get credit? It's actually when you don't need it, right? Because banks don't lend to people who actually need money. So I know there are some of you out there in a jam and are trying to get more credit because that's going to help you solve problems. And you know what? It actually might. But the problem is that banks don't lend you money when you don't need it. So the best thing to do is actually get as much credit as possible before you ever need it, right? Get it before you ever need it. So let's just assume that for whatever reason we got a 15%, 15 grand personal line of credit, and for whatever reason we just use a credit card instead. I don't know why you do that, but again, people get into situations like they do, and what we're going to do is just make sure that this is the focus of our financial life, which is the line of credit, rather than paying things off with our checking and savings. Okay, so we have our line of credit. We just showed that to you. Now let's just kind of finish our budget. So what's the difference between the average American and the velocity banker? The difference is that this person pays with a checking account, all the bills. This person pays using the line of credit as their main operating account. Okay? And here's the thing that we always do assume. Same income, although more income is great, and no savings. And you might be gasping, like, what do you mean, no savings? Are you insane? In fact, I told my mom that I don't have any savings, and she thought I was insane, right? But the strategy is with velocity banking, you put your entire paycheck into the line of credit, which will do two things: satisfy the minimum monthly payment and minimize the interest, right? And then number two, we take out the expenses from the line of credit, and then our cash flow will be used to pay down our debt, right? Definitely an easy way to pay out down debt. So let's do this. We're going to just do a simple debt transfer, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. And what if we just do one transfer of this $15,000 credit card to the personal line of credit, right? So definitely a win if you transfer a high interest to a lower interest debt, right? But okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 15 grand, and then this is 0, okay, because this is the first one we're doing it. But the main benefit of velocity banking, in addition to moving one debt that's higher interest to lower interest, is the cash flow. Because here's the difference between paying with a paycheck, or I'm sorry, paying with a checking account versus using your debt tool as your main operating account. When you use your debt tool as your main operating account, the payment is kind of irrelevant, right? So we paid this off. This is 0, right? And what's our now our cash flow? C2 minus C3. Now we magically increased our cash flow about $500 just by making a simple transfer and making this our main operating account. Okay. So now let's go ahead and write down some calculations. So let's go ahead and calculate with the, just oopsie, get formulas for all the next lines. And what we're going to do is for the next month, month 1, take the previous month's balance, I2 plus J2 minus our cash flow, 1186.13. So if you see that here right at the edge, 1186.13. Okay? All right, so now after every month, so this is the first month, we're actually going to have to calculate the interest. And if you want an easy estimate, what you do is you take the average of these two numbers, right, which is the midpoint, and this isn't technically true. You multiply it by the interest rate, which is 0.15, right, that 15%, and then you divide it by 12, okay? And then now all you got to do is just rinse and repeat this formula, do Control C to copy, and then just kind of paste it until it turns red, right? So the red tells you that it's paid off in about 14 months, okay? 14 months. So let's just go ahead and write our milestones. So milestones, keep track of how long it took us to pay off our debt, and then we got that here, right? And so now we'll say 14 months for 15K of debt, right? Not bad, but not up to my standard. Why is that? Because I paid 58 grand of debt in a year in a mortgage. But, to each their own, right? Okay, so now we have an auto loan. So after 14 months, what would be the balance of the auto loan? Let's go ahead and check. So we'll just assume that this is a used car. We're getting a used car, right? For 12K, and I think the interest rates for used cars are a little bit higher than for regular cars, but I might be wrong about that. In fact, here's the funny thing. When I was in California, I saw a lot of 0% interest loans for autos being advertised. So, if we got a 0% interest loan, that would be pretty sweet. But let's just assume we got a new car, I'm not a used car, not a new car, at 12,000 at 6.5% interest rate. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I think, what was that? 14 months? 14 months, 15K of debt. 14 months. Okay, so now this is the balance of that loan. All right, whoopsie. So now we now what we can do is figure out. Here's the thing. I actually kind of jumped, skipped ahead. But one of the things that we have to decide is we have 3 loans, right? Which one are we going to pay off first? Okay, and there's actually criteria, and let me actually put the objective here. I'm so sorry. I'm like getting all over the place. The objective is to pay 15 plus 12 plus 30 plus 200. So pay off 257K of debt. Okay, so there's actually a debt payoff criteria. So if you're looking at these debts, right, and you want to know which ones do I pay off first, there's 2 ways to do this. So you look for debts that fit as much as possible in these 3 categories: the lowest balance, the highest interest rate, and the highest payment. Or another way that actually totally ignores the interest rate is by using something called a cash flow index. All it is a formula with statement balance over the monthly payment. And let me actually do this. Um, I'm gonna do a CFI, cash flow index, and we'll calculate for each debt that we have originally, 4525, and let me number format this. All right, so where's the number format? Right here, number, 2 decimal places. Okay, so now what we're going to do is equals, we'll do the original number first, 12,000 divided by 234.79 equals 3000 divided by 579.98 equals 200000 divided by 1199.1. Okay, so this number is kind of like a ranking system of which debts you should pay off first. So basically, it's saying because the CFI, cash flow index number, is so low, the lowest one is the one you want to pay off first, and that makes sense because we have this 15K credit card at 30% interest, even though the cash flow index actually ignores the interest. And then this is saying, pay off the auto loan, right? And we actually adjust this because the CFI will be uh, lower as we make more payments, right? As we chip away the principal. So let's go ahead and readjust this. So it's 9537.35, right? And then now it becomes 40, okay? And the same thing here with the student loan. So, we can actually make some adjustments to all of these. But just based on what we saw before from the beginning, this one was the second lowest one. So we pretty much want to pay that off. And one of the things that we can do is just make a transfer of $9,000, 9,500, and then we get $234 of cash flow back, right? So we definitely can do that. So let's go ahead. And again, there's going to be a little bit of inaccuracies to this because, as we make payments to all of these, um, uh, especially with credit cards, but I actually paid off the credit card first. The difference between the loan and the credit card is that when we make payments to the credit card, this actually lowers, the payment lowers. But when we make payments to amortized loans, the payments are fixed and they never get lowered. And the only thing that reduces is the time of the loan, right? But the payment, no matter what happens, even if you overpay it, never adjusts unless you do like refinancing or something called recasting. So hopefully that made sense. If doesn't, just ignore it. Okay, so let's just do this. Why don't we just pay off this whole sucker and get this $234 of cash flow back? So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this to our line of credit, and we'll add it right here. So plus Control V. All right, and now what's our new cash flow? So we just did a simple debt transfer. It's going to be 0, and our new cash flow is 1420.92. Okay, so let's go back here. So I'm going to highlight where we did the debt transfer, and then our new cash flow is going to be, okay, 1420.92. Okay, and then what we do is just kind of keep driving the sucker down until we get in the red, right? And so at 21 months, right? So 21 months, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this, is where we paid off the second debt, which is the auto loan, right? So 21 months, and where is the auto loan? So that's going to be, whoopsie, 12K plus 15K is 27K. All right, cool. So now the next one is the student loan. So let's figure out 21 months what that student loan is and what the new cash flow index is as well. So 30K at 6%, all right, so 30000 at 6%. Again, if I had, a 0% car loan, I don't know, I got to figure out how I do this differently, or maybe I would just pay that off completely last. Although, according to the cash flow index model, the 0% interest doesn't matter. But I got to check that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look here. So how many months was it? It was 21 months. Okay, 21 months. And then let's take a look at month 21. And this is going to be at 20 grand now. Okay. So we paid off 10 grand of this. And now let's put in our new cash flow index to see what it is now. And what Garrett Gunderson, the guy who created the cash flow index, says is that anything under 50, you want to pay off immediately just because you'll have enough cash flow to offset your other debts. But let's go ahead and move this. Actually, do we have enough room in our line of credit? We only have 15 grand, unfortunately. So how about we actually just do this? We move $5,000, right? Wait, so actually, let's move a little bit more than 5,000. Should we move? Yeah, let's just move 5,000. We'll just do that. Five grand. Okay, so if we do move 5 grand, that'll be 4537.35, right? And let's go ahead and move 5 grand here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move 5 grand. Okay, and then all right. So now that 5 grand is gone, and after 25 months, so let's just do this. How long does it take? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 payments to completely pay that sucker off. All right, so what we have to do is take a look where 4537.35 would be. 4537. So around here, we're almost at the end of the loan. Okay, so 4537.35. Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm like totally confused. I screwed up. I already paid this off. My bad. Um, yeah, okay, so I know what I did wrong. All right, so bear with me here. So what I have to do, this is actually 15, 504.23. I just subtracted the wrong amount. But I still made a $5,000 transfer, right? So $5,000 transfer, and then in 4 months it got paid off. So now what we have to do is for that student loan of 30K, if we're at 15 grand right now, 15.5, 15.5, around here. How many, where are we after 4 months? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're around 13 grand. Okay, so let's just assume, take this, copy and paste this number. Again, not totally accurate, but good enough. Okay, so now let's recalculate this cash flow index. So obviously if it's at a lower number, 13086.1, 22.6, we definitely want to pay this off. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. All right, so let's go ahead and now what we do is we add this here, completely pay off that car loan, okay? And then guess what? Our cash flow goes to zero, or this goes to zero, and our cash flow increased to $2,000. Whoa, how do we get from 660 to 2,000? Is your mind blown? Because mine is. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and put in our new cash flow here, which is 2,000.9. So 2,000.9. Okay. And now we just kind of paid the sucker down. Okay. And then 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay. So 32 months to pay off. So what's the next debt? 30 plus 27, 57K. Okay. And now it's the same thing with the mortgage. So whatever we did with the student loan, same thing with the mortgage. So anytime you have a low, and why did I put mortgage? It should be mortgage. Okay. So anytime you have, let's say, a mortgage, it's usually going to be a lower interest in the line of credit. And this is what I would do. I would do something called chunking, which is just moving parts of the principal to a line of credit and then just paying off the line of credit if you're going to do velocity banking. But at this stage, whether you make extra payments or do velocity banking with the chunking method, the result is going to be the same. But what velocity banking will help you with is just preventing something called segregation of income. So if you don't know what I mean by that, I have a lot of other videos on YouTube about that subject, and I might just make another video just to kind of as a refresher. But let's just say this. So at 32 months, let's see what the mortgage balance is. So 20000 at 30 years, 6%. Okay, and where are we? You said 32 months. 32 months. Okay, right, 32 months. All right, so 32 months is 193. 193K, right? So 193K. And the whole idea is maybe you'll just transfer $4,000 into your line of credit and then pay that off. So if you did that, so let's just take a look at the bank schedule. So 193 minus 4 is 189. How long would it take to get to 193 to 189? 193 to 189. So that would take almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 payments. So 13 payments to get there if we just do it to the bank schedule. But let's just transfer 4 grand here, right? 4 grand here, okay, plus 4000. And we just gotta get to the red. Oopsie, I screwed up. Oh, it had it right. My bad. Okay. And you can see it just takes two more payments, right? 33, 34, and this is when we did a debt transfer to just pay that off. So if you just went to the bank schedule, it would take you 13 payments to get there, whereas when we did it with this method, we only just did 2 payments. Now here's the cool thing. Let me actually reset this. I actually have a cheat sheet calculator from an educational company called Renatus, right? So this is where I first learned velocity banking. If you're a student of theirs, you actually get this free cheat sheet calculator, okay? And I'm just gonna go ahead and fill it in, okay? So let me go back here. So after 32 months, so let's go back to 32 and get the exact amount. I'll go ahead and copy this. All we have to do is just fill in the fields of the cheat sheet. And it's so simple, right? All right, so now what's our salary? Is we could put that 4,000 as our chunk amount at a 15% interest, 4000, and then the living expenses, everything you have except for the mortgage debt. So how much is the other 800? Okay, not bad. All right, so this guy's living really frugal. Wow, only 800? Oh, where'd my okay, did it? All right, so there, my screen just went a little bit nutty. All right, so cool. So now let me go back to oh, maybe that's why I went nutty, because Excel went nutty. Okay, so let me just go ahead. So 2000, make sure I have everything here. Yeah, I think 800 is the only expense. I guess I'm just surprised because usually I don't have low numbers like that, although I'll admit that I have lived kind of like this before by sharing rooms with roommates, and now that I'm older, I just don't want to do that. But let's take a look as to how long it'll take. Ooh, 6.1 years. Okay, so 6.1 years to pay off this debt of just $800 of general expenses and $1,200 in house payment. Okay, and take a look at the interest that's saved. So, potentially saved. So 160K is the interest that's potentially saved if you do the strategy, and you only pay 39K, right? And here's something I want to show you. Let's say like you actually increase the line of credit interest rate. So I'll say this is like 20%, right? You notice how it only goes up like 1K, and then if you do 30%, it goes up another 2K. So this is why like cash flow is really much more important than like the interest rate of the line. So obviously you want to use the lowest interest rate possible. But even if you're not using the lowest interest rate possible, if you have enough cash flow to offset the interest, That's really all that matters. So I just want to throw that there. Okay, so let me go back and do this to 15% again. And you can see that it goes to 6.1 years. So now let's go ahead and do 6.1 years. So what's actually 32 months? So 32 divided by 12. So that's 2.6. Now I have to do 2.6 plus 6.1. So 8.7 years debt free. And then that's 257K. Wow, that's pretty good. 8.7 years. Wow. So again, so this is the part where we would do our Dave Ramsey scream. So now this is going to go to 0. And then what's our cash flow now? 3,200, which is pretty effing insane. So maybe this can increase a little and we don't have to scrimp. I don't know why this person was just living on the edge because I'd rather live a little and pay off my debt a little bit later, but that's just how this person rolls. But yeah, 8.7 years, debt free, 257K. Pretty awesome. So, all right. So, this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship doing a video at 2:30 a.m. So, just as a final plug before I go to sleep now, if you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google Form link below. Other than that, have a great day. And if you're interested in not just velocity banking, but also learning about financial literacy and some other cool stuff, or you just want to hear me talk, go ahead and click the Google Form link below, right? Yeah, click the Google Form link below, put in your info, and we'll get on a one-on-one Zoom call to see if you're a good fit for our group. Other than that, have a great day, everybody, and a good night, and hopefully all you Insomniacs can sleep at this moment because I'm so boring. No, I'm just kidding, because I'm so soothing or something. I don't know. I'm going to go to sleep now. I'm just blabbering on. Bye, everybody.